Hello and welcome to Network. My name is Sphumelele Zondi with your technology and social media news. Remember that if you want to be a part of this tech conversation, you can find us on SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. It's News Network at sabc.co.za on email. You can also use the hashtag SABC Network. Today, our Twitter poll is asking if you would buy an iPhone if it was cheaper. This comes after Apple said they're considering slashing prices outside the US because of falling iPhone sales. Results of that are coming up later in the program. Here's what's coming up in the show today. It's election year and political parties are increasingly using online platforms to woo younger voters. But is it working? New LiDAR technology has helped archaeologists map out a 15th century city in South Africa. And our discussion is on the challenges faced by South Africa's tech innovators. This follows the Please Call Me inventor's struggle to get the payment he wants from Vodacom. Tech innovator Moepi Situna is here for that one. Hello and thank you very much for joining us.
Hey, how are you, man?
I'm all right. Now, is it difficult to get this recognition?
It definitely is difficult because the one biggest thing is protection of the IP.
Yeah.
And it takes money and it costs a lot of resources as well to put that together.
Yeah.
So for patents and IP, it requires a lot of money, man.
All right. Moepi, hold that thought. We will have that discussion later in the program. But first, your social media and technology news. Now, social media has become an important part of election campaigning. It started with Barack Obama in America in 2008 when he was campaigning to be president. But are local political parties getting it right as we gear up for this year's national election?
Social media isn't just social, it's extremely political too. In America, we saw Barack Obama's first presidential campaign using Twitter and the hashtag slogan, "Yes, we can." The campaign spoke to the young and cool, and the would-be president was loved by the youth. A decade later, as we gear up for the 2019 national elections, local political parties are taking up this strategy as they campaign.
The most important thing for political parties is to get their messages out to people. So you must reach people where they are. If people are on Facebook, you must be on Facebook. If people are on Twitter, you must be on Twitter. If people are on Instagram, you must be on Instagram. So it's a really nice, effective way of less expensive than obviously going on the road and trying to be in every town. So it's very effective.
Young people use social media a lot. So we asked them if what they see on the various platforms speaks to their language.
Social media has become a great platform for both voters and political parties as well as their leaders to interact, notwithstanding the fact that social media has managed to bring about closer the voter as well as their leaders.
That is a great idea. I don't think there's any downside to that because everyone is on social media, right?
Given the strategy, considering that a lot of people are on social media, like that's where the content is, we don't watch TV, but I don't think it's going to be impressive enough. I think the only way to woo supporters is to do the work. In
many countries, celebrities are often part of the online elections campaign strategy. Recently, the ANC raised eyebrows when it rallied the country's popular celebrities to endorse it. Some questioned whether it is beneficial for celebrities to declare their political affiliations, as many do online.
We engage with people, we don't script them. And they express their view about democracy. And if young people make headways, Nomza Mombata becomes the goodwill ambassador. We'll talk to her and talk about it. Because that is good, because that's what we want, young people to serve humanity, to use their social status, may it be celebrities.
Some say with the right celebrity endorsements, political campaigns can do well.
If you can find people who resonate with your message genuinely, who are already supporters of your party, and you make them part of that, that means you get a corner of their audience as well. So it is a very good, effective strategy. I mean, we've seen it in the US when Obama won.
Search engine Google is also trying to do its bit to educate. They are giving political parties tools that will tackle online attacks and disruption ahead of elections.
We try to make sure we support the democratic process. It's making sure, so in South Africa talks about a free and fair election. It's us making sure that our tools are being used in the most efficient way by the people that are involved.
In this year's election campaigns, social media presence will be greater than ever. The question is just how much resources will be invested into them.
Now, Wits University archaeologists have rediscovered an ancient lost city known as Gweneng. This was done through laser technology. They've been studying the site for decades, but it is through new tech that they could eventually figure things out properly. This is a digital image of the ancient city of Gweneng. Because of the help of new laser technology, archaeologists can confirm the ancient city in what is now Suikerbosrand National Park in Gauteng. The cutting-edge laser technology known as LIDAR, which means light detection and ranging, only became available in recent years. It's shown the Wits University archaeologists that there are scatterings of ancient stone huts.
LiDAR data is enabling us to do is actually to map and track what was happening in these towns because there's no written record of them. So we're basically rediscovering their use. And what this means is filling in a huge historical gap, especially for Southern Africa, because we know the pre-colonial history of Southern Africa has no written record. So now we're starting to fill in the gaps using this LiDAR technology.
Before the new tech, this area was difficult to study properly. Those working on the project say it was too thick with vegetation, and that's why there was a need of a LiDAR aerial survey to get a better look.
Scanning machine that sends out laser lights, and it basically bombards the landscape. I mean, billions and billions of pulses of laser light, something like 400 or 500 per square meter, just all the time coming out. And as soon as each pulse hits an object, any solid object, a bird or a leaf or a tree or the ground, it reflects straight back to the machine, and then the machine can figure out where that interception took place in 3 dimensions. So when the plane then collects all of this data, masses of it, and it comes down to ground, they download the data, then they can project that data.
LiDAR essentially employs lasers to measure distances to the Earth's surface, which is especially useful when surveying areas with thick ground cover. The new tech has revealed to archaeologists that Gweneng spanned about 20 square kilometers. It was at its prime between the 15th and 19th centuries. LiDAR has also enabled archaeologists to create digital images of the 800 homesteads and other structures that house the city's estimated population of 10,000 Tswana-speaking people.
If you create a game and kids can play around with the context of knowing that is their heritage and having a sense of what was being there and the sort of like housing structure, the architecture which was there.
One of the most enlightening thing is us being able to understand what we were doing in our past, you know. It gives us a more broader idea of the people of Southern Africa, who they were and the types of activities that they did, because you can now rediscover that activity line and just general interactions within the society.
Gweneng, like other Tswana city-states, is believed to have gone into decline after civil conflict. A Ugandan startup company has developed a portable ultrasound gadget that helps pregnant women in remote parts of the country get access to affordable scans.
TechCrunch startup Battlefield Africa 2018 winner AmpScan has developed ultrasound devices that are low-cost and currently been made available to pregnant women, especially in the rural areas of Uganda. The portable life-saving device can be plugged to laptops, tablets, or smartphones, allowing users to send their scan to specialists for further analysis.
As you may know, in most rural areas, electricity is just a luxury. So when we were posted there, other people were carrying out their jobs, and for us, our hands were tied. We could not use the knowledge that we're learning in school in the hospitals where we were posted. And then mothers kept dying of conditions that we knew could have been scanned on ultrasound and prevented.
For many pregnant women across Africa, ultrasounds are too expensive. But this gadget cost about $2,500 US, nearly half the price of similar machines, and it is now being used in various Ugandan health centers.
We've so far held 3 camps and we've scanned over 100 mothers. And of those 100, we've detected 16 complications in these mothers, and these mothers' lives were saved.
The company also holds outreach programs regularly, offering free scanning services to pregnant mothers.
SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. After the break, we chat about challenges faced by South Africa's tech innovators. Stay with us. It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. Welcome back. Now, Gauteng Education MEC, Banyaza Lesufi, has called on South Africans to boycott Vodacom products and Vodacom-sponsored activities. Speaking in his personal capacity, he said this is because they failed to pay Please Call Me inventor Nkosana Makate what's due to him. Vodacom has written to Lesufi to ask him to stop criticizing the company. As that happens, a group calling itself the Please Call Me movement picketed outside Vodacom headquarters in Midrand. They too say they are fighting on behalf of Makate. Initially, the invention of Please Call Me was claimed by Vodacom's former CEO, Alan Nutt-Craig, in a book. In 2016, the court ruled that Vodacom and Makate reach a payment agreement. As this hasn't happened, Makate is now expected to go back to court. Here's Please Call Me convener Modise Sitwaba.
Vodacom, on admission of the former CEO Alan Nutt-Craig, has been getting 20 million Please Call Me's daily, and that's only in South Africa. What about India? What about Belgium? What about Tanzania? What about all the other countries that they operate in? So if you calculate that money, 70 billion is fair. And if 70 billion is what Makate deserves, let him get. Jan Koum, who invented WhatsApp, is worth 130 billion. So what is 70 billion compared to that? And Makate is going to get 70 billion 18 years after his invention.
Now, right now, I'm joined by another inventor in the tech space, Mwepi Situna. He created a mobile phone application called Let's Talk. It aims to connect municipalities and government departments to citizens. He joins me now to talk about the challenges or maybe triumphs that they face as people who use tech to come up with these new solutions. Hello, and thank you very much for joining me.
Hi, how are you, man?
I'm all right.
Sweet.
Now, let's go back. How did you start your journey to tech innovation?
Jeez. Going back to I think my environment that I was in at that time, you know, and what I was faced with. And I realized the problem that was there was that gap between communities and government. And the impact was so huge. And this is back in local elections, actually. When I was doing the research, it's funny enough now.
Where do you come from? Describe the area.
So this the Free State in Qwaqwa. So it's a small rural town. Butadichaba is the main city. It's a small town. And so that was during the local elections. And it's funny enough now we're sitting at the provincial national elections, and we're at a stage where we're actually launching the platform with one of the provincial offices in Limpopo, which is also a rural community. So, you know, the challenges that we faced, I mean, and what made me go into this thing is seeing how technology has grown. I mean, all we're seeing is just technology taking over in all industries, right?
All right. But that's what happened during those elections.
Yeah.
But what made you decide to create that particular invention when you were sitting around in Qwaqwa, looking at what's going on in the area? What happened? What led to that?
You know, the creative side of me, I think, sparked in, and what led to that as well is how it affected my own parents, and it affected my own background and my neighbors that I stayed with, and I'd realized that this is actually a problem that I can also get involved in and actually solve this problem. Hence, it's a big impact. And realizing that, you know, coming up with a product was design thinking methodology, you know, and hence I think creativity just came in and sparked in. But the most important thing was because it was a point that was touching me closely in terms of the subject itself, and realizing that subject that, you know, how I remember my grandmother, you know, she was struggling to get small services like actually getting her health status from the clinic, and she had to walk like miles from where she stayed to the clinic. And, it was a mission all the time when I was around. I'd find time to walk her to the clinic. And I realized that, there's that huge gap of communication. And a time would get there, and she's not supposed to be at the clinic at that time. The appointment is only in 2 weeks. But they've got no way of communicating with that patient, and it's so difficult to actually communicate with her. And I remember she had like a feature phone at that time before the smartphone came in. So I realized that, look, it's not a matter of what type of user we have. All users have devices and they can access internet and they can access telecoms. There's ways of communication. Let's bridge that gap.
So what's your background? Because you look at your grandmother, you realize that your grandmother is struggling to get services, struggling to get results from the local clinic, and then not everyone would think, I need to come up with a solution for this. So what background did you come from? Could you code? Could you develop apps at the time?
I wish I could code. I wish I could code. What's nice is that I was exposed to a lot of technology in my industry experience. I mean, I worked for the big companies. I would mention the names, the likes of EOH and Kichimas and so forth. And in that space is where I was exposed to a lot of this interaction in software and in the global space as well, in the ecosystem. And remembering where I come from and actually where I stay, and coming back to Joburg, finding an incubator called Simulogong, where I'm actually incubated, opened up a lot of opportunities into that ecosystem that I wanted to be in.
All right. Fast forwarding to the challenges that you're facing now, which you started telling us about in the beginning.
The biggest challenge that we face is the IP, protection of the IP, because we come up with smart ideas and smart solutions, and sadly, what's happened to our Please Call Me colleague, and it's a matter of that protection of the IP and realizing that because nobody knows what the solution would have done to this point, right? And I think at that time, when a brother has access to funding, access to support, and access to these ecosystems, it's funny enough that they like calling the Cape Town city, the city, it's called the Silicon Cape.
Yeah.
I think things are happening there, versus Joburg. And it's because the ecosystem that they're adopting is a global ecosystem. And when it comes to seed funding, and those kind of things, it's not limited to a value.
So access to funding is also a big struggle.
Definitely, because in order for the guy to protect his IP, he needs the funding. And he's got a great idea. I mean, I came up with this idea when I was sitting in my grandmother's house in Kwakwa,
And you have to be in Joburg in order for you to be incubated.
Exactly.
And not be in Kwakwa, or where the problem actually is. Yeah. And now being in Johannesburg, do you think it helps to be incubated?
Yeah, it does. It does. Definitely it does. I mean, in my 2 years of incubation, or 18 months in Simulogong, I've been exposed to a lot of mentors, experts from the industry, customers as well. But it's all about courage as well, just to highlight you as well,
All right. Thank you very much for joining us.
No, thanks, man.
All right, SABC Duna there is the creator of Let's Talk. Now, this week, we also caught up with a media personality, Claire Mawisa. She told us about her favorite piece of technology.
Hi, my name is Claire Mawisa, and my favorite piece of technology is a new fridge I actually bought. I did not know that you could actually put your fridge on vacation mode and treat your top section, which is the fridge, and the bottom section completely differently. I've been living in the dark ages, so the new fridges out there are doing phenomenal things. Did you know? I didn't know.
The 6th annual Cybertech Conference, which drew more than 15,000 attendees and firms from 80 countries gathered to network and discuss the latest trends, innovation and threats in the cyber world, concluded in Israel this week. The 3-day event drew intelligent affiliates, government and private sector decision makers, and some of the world's most influential investors.
I definitely think that it's a free-for-all. It's going to be survival of the fittest, and only the strong will prevail.
The conference featured a huge cyber business exhibition area and startup pavilion alongside formal sessions on hot topics such as Internet of Things, blockchain, privacy data, protection, identity trust, cybersecurity in the health, finance, retail, communication and aviation industries. Now, let's move to Spain. Ride-hailing companies Uber and Cabify are to suspend their services in Barcelona in response to the regional government imposition of limit on how they operate in the city. The decision followed mass protest by Barcelona's taxi drivers who complained that their business was being undermined and the services did not operate on a level playing field.
I think there's enough work for both sectors, and I think we give another service that they do not give. So it's a shame. This week has been very difficult to work. They cut off roads, they threw stones at us, they opened our cars, they threw eggs.
The suspension of services was announced just a few weeks before it hosts the annual Mobile World Congress, one of the world's largest meetings of the mobile tech industry. Uber said it remained committed to operating in the long term in Spanish cities and hoped to work with the government and the city council on fair regulation for all. Off we go to Hungary. Enjoy Budapest Cafe in Hungarian capital, have robots that can serve up food and drinks, tell jokes, dance with the kids or just hang out for a chat with the customers. The cafe, opened by an IT company, is staffed by a whole team of robots that aims to help familiarize the public with the technological revolution in automation and artificial intelligence.
As an information technology company, when we were thinking of how to raise catering to a new level, we thought of robotics as something that we can give people a new experience.
The robot waiters follow fixed patterns to deliver food and drink orders to customers, while others serve up entertainment, such as Pepper, a receptionist robot that can hold a conversation and also dance with customers.
Pepper mainly serves the purpose of providing entertainment in this environment, but otherwise it is an excellent robot for educational purpose, as you can learn all sorts of development techniques which are great for education.
Now, because of decreasing iPhone sales, Apple has said they will be cutting iPhone prices in some countries outside the United States of America. This week, our Twitter poll is asking if you would buy the iPhone if it was cheaper. Now, the majority of respondents, and that's an overwhelming majority, says yes, they would buy the iPhone if it was cheaper. That figure is at 65%. 21% of you say no, you will not. And there is also 14%, that's the lowest number of respondents, who are saying that they already own iPhones. I guess it's guys who have arrived who already own iPhones. That's all we have for you. Find us on SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Use network@sabc.co.za on email. We leave you with visuals of a Colombian man who makes a living transforming air traffic robots. From me and the rest of the network team, have a good one.